bayethe wena waphakathi.
A very good morning, Sanvusela Sanmugela Lomhlelweni kungilesihlanu. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's a minute after 6. To remind you, you can also watch the show on our Eswatini YouTube page, Eswatini TV. Good morning, Sanmugela. It is the 18th of August 2023. We're only 8 days away from the primary elections. 26 August. Sanvusela, I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
Doing very well, Lulu. I think what you're forgetting to remind Babu Gelbert we will have a 24-hour broadcast. Just, the lowdown on what will be happening at the Inkudlani Letahlugene, La Paive, Numage, La Panjagutabe, Gukuna, primary elections. So, Siakotalo would see Ongamaswati, Vule Stash Samsagatoge, Eswatini TV on the day, just to follow on everything on the developments at our Akubega, Eluket. We will be looking at Tinzaba Temidlalo with Fabrice and Sonera, Starkalage with local sports, just to hear we would see as they make preparations for the Premier League of Eswatini. Would see what are the developments Lendeka Kosieva through the grapevine. Could see they are getting donations from Inyatsi Group. Kanzige Nalabanja Kubega Bashanyela Timale Tseni Ilik Itzi Umaikala Ibe Isenza when Napona Skashopona would see the ground will be fertile at Sen Badlali. Bakhona ukutsalovele baqhutselana ngathi start bukana letinye temidlalo lechamka kulamaye emafe.
Asike sizabenza sikhulumisana na communications director waka ERS njengoba dothi njalo ngalobesihlanu sikhuluma Tinzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthelo. Evikini eliphelile nje besikhuluma ngeauthorized economic operator program ngaselamhla sida besikhuluma ngemthelo lebitwa ngekuthi withholding tax on rental payment. Umthelo ke lona lobhadalwa abacashi kubo mastandi babo. Asike umthelo lona ulinganiselwa ku 10% kuleyo mali loyibhadalako yerent. Kepha ke Vusi Dlamini ube joining us kuchaza abantu ukuthi lo mthelo lona vele ubaleke kanganani nokuthi mangabe ungawubhadali dinyathelo dini ERS letithathela wena ongumcashi kanye la landlord. Abasishona ke 6:30 lomhla ekseni. Lesikhathi siyasibuka nje dihloko lethamba embili kumabanzaba. Alright, sitawuqala ngebuka i-Times of Eswatini lo muhla kungolesihlanu. Ngisike dihloko lethamba embili. His Majesty tells SADC we cannot dialogue with terrorists. Ngwenyama ithi, where else in Africa has a government been told to negotiate with terrorist entities? Ngilethoko lethamba embili kanti nasibuka letinye lethamba embili. HMCS reported for violating transgender women. Asibuka ke Tinzaba drugs shortage lapha eveni let relatives buy us medication. Nekusho kwesigulane. Kulenye lehamba embili, a teacher has been accused of bashing and hiding their son. Lona minyaka leyimfica 9 years old.
Nansi-ke kutemidlalo, ku-Times of Eswatini, our leading story this morning is its work in progress for local football as Inyatsi's 0.5 million emalangeni for PLE show as the local construction company pays for a few episodes of show. Nzaba-ke lenye lehamba embili ikhulumisa-ke teams lasafuna 10 million emalangeni for CAF licensing, speaking on clubs that have requested Eswatini Football Association to ask at least 10 million grant from CAF to assist in club licensing. On another one, Green Mamba's over 100,000 Emalangeni bill for Mozambique Stadium. This one speaks to Yona Green Mamba le tawdlala khona in Mozambique, Go Confederation of African Football, to part with 130,000 Emalangeni to use the Zimpeto Stadium in Mozambique. Kanzike kule international kutemidlalo, Hurricane starts tonight kusho Tuchel.
Right, ngilito kwelethamba embili gilo liphephandzaba Times of Eswatini. It's 5 minutes after 6. Let's take a break. Nasibuya sathatha indzaba Eswatini.
Umsakato wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letenteka ngaleso sikhatsi, tindzaba letide emagama laqosheme, letitsembekile, letitsintsa tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni.
Kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo, netemhlaba wonke jikelele, siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhatsi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulomsakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letiqhamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakato wetithombe iEswatini TV.
Atsimidze sinimukele sakuvuselana olosanza kusivulela. It's 7 minutes after 6. Rabukati indzaba tetfu lomhla. Silo semhlaba sisingethwe inkosikazi Makela Ntendeza singenele umhlangano wamashumi lamane nakutsatfu webaholi bemave langephansi kwenhlangano yaka-SADC lobanjelwe eLuanda kulase Angola. Kulomhlangano silo sicukutele saphindze sakhutsata abaholi bemave ukuthi basebentise umcebo waphansi nemandla akuthuthukisa umnotfo walesifundza.
Silo semhlaba sisingethwe inkosikazi Makela Ntendeza singenele umhlangano webaholi bemave yaka-SADC wemashumi lamane nakutsatfu lebe ukatse ubanjelwe ngephansi kwesicubulo lesithi Human and Financial Capital, the key drivers for sustainable industrialization for SADC region. Lo mhlangano ubheke ukuthi uniketele Eswatini nemavela amanye yaka-SADC tisombululo tetinkinga letikhungetsela amave. Sikhundla sekuba ngusihlalo walenhlangano besikade sikumengameli welive le-Democratic Republic of Congo, His Excellency Felix Antoine Chilombo. Lo ndlulisele sihlalo sa-SADC kumengameli welive le-Angola, mengameli His Excellency Joao Lourenço.
Je voudrais également saisir cette occasion pour souhaiter, au nom de la communauté,
mengameli welive le-Democratic Republic of Congo endlulisela lesihlalo ubenge kusekeleka nekubambiseka asesekulesihlalo.
Vossa Excelência deixa-nos grande legado.
Sihlalo lomusha walenhlangano mengameli welive le-Angola emukela lesihlalo wethembile ukuthi kubumbana nekubambisana kutawuchubeka.
We are confident that the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Kingdom of Eswatini, the Republic of Madagascar, and the Democratic Republic of Congo will undertake elections in a climate of peace.
Lubeka ngusihlalo weluphiko lwenhlangano lebuke kuthula nekuphepha, His Excellency Hake Geingob, bengameli welive neNamibia naye wendluliselele sihlalo kusihlalo lomusha. Sihlalo lomusha mengameli welive leRepublic of Zambia His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema wemukele lona msebenzi ngetandla totimbili.
Most of our populations are young and they are in need of skills, education, they are in need, all of us, in need of health, in need of jobs, in need of business opportunities. If and when we have no peace and stability, it is absolutely difficult, near mission impossible, to deliver better lives for our populations.
Kulo mhlangano kuphindze kwaba nemiklomelo lefayekhathi wekubonga lo wake waba ngumengameli welive laBotswana Seretse Khama leyemukelwe ngumengameli walela live wayitolo His Excellency Ian Khama. Leminye imiklomelo ifayekhathi leyo yebetindzaba besifundza saka SADC neyebamfa besikolo besifundza saka SADC le munye wabo bafundzi ngumfana weLeswati.
In the second position, we have Ms. Luyanda Simelane from the Kingdom of Eswatini, and she will walk away with the second prize of $1,000.
Sewuvuliwe umhlangano ingwenyama nebaholi babenetingxoxo tanganisenze lapho libhubezi libhodle lathi lo mhlangano ubanjwe ngesikhathi lapho umhlaba ukhungethwe tinkinga letiningi letifaye khathi tembusave kuswelakala kwekudla lokwanele nenthengo yekudla timpi kuhamba kwebamfula basha balesifundza baye kuletinye tifundza emhlabeni ngekufuna emadlelo lalihlata tinkinga tekuguquguquka kwesimo selitulu kwesalakala kwemisebenzi kunye nebuphuya. Imbube emhlaba ithi konke lokhu kuyasikhinyabeta lesifundza. Ingwenyama ithe kutele sifundza sikhone kufeza umgomo waso wa 2063 lothi kwakha iAfrika lesiyifuna kona ledzingekile. Lesifundza sisebenzise luhlangothilo temcebo waphansi nemandla njengoba linenhlanhla uNkulunkulu walibusisa ngawo umcebo waphansi. Silo semhlaba sithe iAfrika ayekele kuhambisa umcebo wayo njengoba unjalo kodwa ayiuthengise sewumkhicido lophelele kude izuze. Lokhu kutawubonakala ngekuthi kulesifundza kube nentuthuko leKhonsile kwakheke emathuba emisebenzi phindze futhi kuthuthuke inhlalakahle yabantu. Silo sichubeke sathi lamave kumele ende siciniseko ukuthi bantu labasha bayaphila bathola lithuba lekuya esikolweni kanye nekuqeqesheka kudemakhono abo phindze futhi kube netakhiwo lelitawukhona kusekela intuthuko leKhonsile lapho insha itawuba nendlela yekufaka sandla kuloko ngetindlela tesimanje. Inkosi Mswati wesithathu iphindze yavetela umhlangano ukuthi leSwatini liphishanekile nemsebenzi lomkhulu welukhetho welive lweminyaka wa 2023. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya eLuanda eAngola.
Asikangulokunye iselo semhlaba sithi isive samaswati sitawukhulumisana sitsingitse tindzaba letibalulekile letiphatselene nelive isibayeni uma sawufike emaphetselweni umsebenzi welikhetho. Silo siphefumule emhlanganweni weliphiko lwaka-SADC lolubuke kuthula netekuphepha iSADC Troika.
Ingwenyama ise7 le-Angola ingenele umhlangano weliphiko lolubuke kutithula netekuphepha enhlanganweni yaka-SADC. Ikhuluma kulomhlangano imbube ithe noko leSwatini libonga inhlangano yaka-SADC ngekwakha umgwaqo leSwatini lelingahamba ngawo. Baho labati ukuthi leSwatini laphumela ebaleni ngendzaba yekukhulumisana emkhathini kwesive semaswati. Silo semhlaba satiso loluphiko leTroika ukuthi letingxoxo titawukwendeka ngemuva kwelukhetho lwelive leSwatini kulandzelwa umthetho-sisekelo kanye nemthetho welive. Silo sithi umbiko welibandla lelengamele kululeka eMhave i-SADC Advisory Council awusiye logculisako kwatise kokuthi uqukethe umbiko lothile Eswatini lidzinga kuhlahlelwa emehlo ngiyo inhlangano yaka-SADC. Loku ngasilo nani liqiniso kwatise ukuthi live likhonile kubuyisa inhlalakahle eveni lokungaveli kulombiko. Kanti-ke lokhu kuyasolisa ukuthi kunetinhloso letifihlakele ngelivele eMaswati. Silo sithi kuyamangalisa kubona inhlangano ye-SADC ithatha tinqumo ngelivele Eswatini ngetinkhulumo letide buqiniso kunekuthola lokungiko lokwentekako eSwatini. Silo satise lo mhlangano ukuthi labanye lababhebhetela kubulawa kweMaswati labafaka ekhathi emaphoyisa nemibutho yedekuvikela kunye nebaholi bemimango sebabanjiwe. Noko leSwatini liyati ukuthi labanye betiphekula dikhoni babhace emaveni abomakhelwane lapho bachubeka nokuphehla ludweshu ngelive leMaswati kanti futhi bayaceceshwa kulamave. Ingwenyama yadise baholi ukuthi sive seMaswati siphume ngetinkani kubhalisela ukhetho kwatise ukuthi live lifike ngaloku nge-50 ekhulwini 90%. Silo sithi kusukela ncandi live leSwatini linayo indlela yekutibusa kanti futhi ngiyo lesenjetisiwe ekuthathweni kwetinqumo letisimamise live. Ingwenyama ikhumbude iSADC ukuthi live leMaswati lacelwa kusitwa ngulenhlangano emva kwekungenelwa diphekula dikhuni kodwa kude lisito lolatholakala ngako kuyamangalisa ukuthi iSADC ithi leSwatini alihlale phasi likhulumisane netiphekula dikhuni loku ngakade kwendeke kulamanye emave. Silo sicelele liphiko lweTroika ukuthi sale likhipha live leSwatini eluhlelweni letinkhulumo tayo lenhlangano kwatise ukuthi kunekuthula even leSwatini. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya eLuanda eAngola.
Imvana yelitiko letinkhundla David Ncamphalala ithi uhulumende utimisele ukuthuthukisa sive lesisetinkhundleni ngemakhono latawenda ukuthi kube melula kucala emabhizinisi ekutiphilisa lasimeme. Imvuna ithi lamabhizinisi yangasekelwa tikhwama tahulumende letfaka ekhatsi sikhwama sekuthuthukisa tinkhundla e-Regional Development Fund. Bekhuluma lapho kuphothulwe eMaswati langu-48 lebekaceceshwa ngemakhono lafaka ekhatsi kutfungwa enkhundleni yasemahlangatsha.
Kulo msebenzi lebewubanjelwe ngephansi kwemphakathi wasemambathweni kuceceshwe eMaswati lasuka etinkhundleni letisihlanu telive. Indvuna yelitiko letinkhundla nekuthuthukiswa kwato David Ncamphalala ithi-ke hulumende ufise kubesekela bonke laba labaceceshwe ngalamakhono.
Hulumende wengwenyama akathatheli phansi kubona abantu labaqala emabhizinisi batawutimela bona. Ukuthatha lokho ukuthi ngiyona ndlela lengabe sigijima ngayo ngona mgogodla futhi wahulumende lacabanga ukuthi kuphumelela kwalesive njengoba sathi ukuthi imisebenzi kulamalanga ilukhuni kanganani.
Nozipho Dlamini lokhulumele bafunzi labaphotfuliwe uthi-ke emakhono lawatfolile ende ukuthi ibhizinisi yakhe indlondlobale.
Ngakhona kutitsengela imishina ngakhona sengiyakhona nekutfunga emanyufomu ngithungele letinye tikolo. Ngabonga kakhulu uhulumende wetinkhundla ngekusivulela lesikolo.
Sikhulu semphakathi wasemambathweni indaba kaWombe Dlamini sibonge ukuthi lo msebenzi ubanjwe emahlangatsha.
Sidlulisa kubonga kuye uhulumende wetinkhundla konke lokho ngomfunzi uthite usemhlakovu ngicangisi nami ngitawufuna kube khona la ngiyosupporta khona ukuthi nami kube khona lokuthungwe nguye lengikuthengile lemhlakovu ngoba cishe ngisebenzela ngakhona.
Kulolu hlelo lolwasungulwa nga-1978 kuceceshwe eMaswati langu-184 kusukela eminyakeni wa-2019 kuya ku-2022. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginapalesa Nsibande naThemba Shabangu emahlangatsha.
Umambone amasiko elive sekutawula nvoloteka nasekwembatheni kwemaswati. Lokhu kulandzela ukuthi emaswati la nge-24 afundziswe ngekwakha tembafo letitawuba nemibhalo emasiko nemihambo. Lamaswati lawo sekaphotfulwe etifundvweni leteliviki lonke lebetentiwa litiko letemabhizinisi nekutsengiselana libambisene nenyuvesi yeSwatini.
Emasiko nemihambo bekuye kugcinwe tincwadzini kwengciselwe titukulwaneni ngekucoca tinganekwane kulokunye. Emaswati la nge-24 sekafundzisiwe ngekugcina loku nasekwembatseni.
Siyatsemba lokuthi nabaphuma la batawubela kuma-communities abo bayisebenzise le knowledge labayitholile lapha baphindze futhi baniketele abanye nabo as well ukuthi babafundzise ngoba bese sibona lokuthi tinenge letinto letisalele emuva kanti ngala emakhonweni kungakhona ukuthi kube nekuphila njengoba nje sathi lokuthi bebasitwa ngetindzaba tema-fabric sukwa preserver kwaphindze futhi kubukwane ukuthi ungapreserva njani tindzaba tetihlahla.
Inyuvesi yaseSwatini ithi kufundza ngemakhono kucatulula inkinga yekwesolakala kwemisebenzi.
Lo sikhuluma nje abantu labasha incumbi yabo about 48% bade imisebenzi. Nalaba lesibakhicitako abantwana labaphumela ngaphandle kwanze ukuthi abakhona ukuthola umsebenzi. So lokho yindlela yethu yokuthi sisebentisane njengale National Handcraft Center. Sibuke indlela tekufundisa labo labasha labade imisebenzi tindzabeni tekwakha emayadi nekuprinta ema-designs ekulamayadi.
Tiko letemabhizinisi nekutsengiselana lithi bantfu labasha lesabatfole lelikhono lela bangagcini ngekutfola nje lelikhono kodwa abachubeke bacale emabhizinisi kuze batawutiphilisa. Ndzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela navuma Inkosi Nzinisa ezulwini.
Sofike emaphethelweni umhlangano yetinkampani tesayensi nekucubungula luphiko lelivekati le-Africa International Association of Science Parks and Areas of Innovation Africa Division Hybrid Conference lobobanjele esibayeni lodge. Umphathi wa-Royal Science and Technology Park Vumile Dlamini uthi tincumo letitsetfwe kulomhlangano tekulwane kugucugucuka kwesimo selitulu litawuhlatiywa tiniketwe nalabafanele kuze nelive leSwatini lidlale indzima lebonakalako kulendzaba lehlasele umhlaba wonke.
Mhlabuhlangene uthi kugucugucuka kwesimo selitulu kutawuletsa kushisa somiso kanye nendlala emhlabeni uma kungendiwa lutho ngako. Litiko letekwatisa tekuchumana nebuciko lithi emave labekangenele umhlangano wenhlangano yetinkampani tesayensi nekucubungula luphiko lelivekati le-Afrika sekufanele ende umehluko.
Kwapresenta ngisho i-construction industry bo-smart city sibonile ama-presentation layelana nalabo bo-waste management, energy generation. Silive singavele sisho sithi cha silungele kuyakhona kule knowledge ledzinga injulabucopho yemaswati.
Umphathi we-Royal Science and Technology Park Vumile Dlamini uthi tisombululo titawuvetwa masinyane.
Tonke letivumelana sesivumelana ngathi namhla kusisesinqumo lethetho sidatisebenta sinematiko onke lakhona event laphathekako ama-ministry laphathekako private sector bekala nayo lokuchama netijubo letisina singenta kanje konke siyakuhlanganisa ke bekunene bese siyakhona ukukunika na uhulumende ukuthi awunayo indlela ekubonakala ukuthi nasihlangana sibosongqondo nje bachama imaveni ngalapha ekhaya ngitona nibestati sebenda ngandlela efanele.
Professor Henny Alshemi lobuya enyuvesi yaseCairo eveni leGibhithe uthi kugucugucuka kwesimo selitulu angeke kuhluphe leSwatini kuphela kodwa umhlaba wonke.
Not only Eswatini but worldwide is going to be faced a lot of problem because
uthi nakungendiwa lutho kutawuba netifo kushisa lokumatima kanye nendlala emhlabeni. Lo mhlangano ke ubese sowuyancoma ukuthi akuvele kube khona tinyathelo letithathwako masinyane. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela nasebenele Mthethwa kumathapha.
Lovisile limelele emhlabuhlangene kuleli livumisa litiko letemphilo ngekuthatha tinyathelo letibonakalako ekucinisekiseni ukuthi bonke bantfu labadzinga lusito lwetemphilo balitfola ngendlela lefanele. Lokho kushiwo lisekela lalomelele emhlabuhlangene kuleli David Omuzafo emhlanganweni lapho khona inhlangano emhlabuhlangene ihlanganise litiko letempilo kanye netinhlangothi letitsinsekako kakhulu leto tebantu labe banganakekeleki kahle ngetempilo. Umhlangano uhlose ekucinisa lapho kusashota khona etinhlelweni tetempilo kudelive litolekelela bakamhlabuhlangene kwendeni isiqiniseko sokuthi emavela nemithetho netincabekelwano tekelapha abantu abengephansi kwa 10% emhlabeni. Bantu labatfola kwecwaywa ngesimo sabo nabasafuna lusito lwetempilo babe ngaphansi kwa 10% kanye nokuthi labo labahlukubetwa ngetebulili babe ngaphansi kwa 10%. Umhlangano banjele hotela Hilton Garden Inn eMbabane.
Many of the barriers people face in accessing services, resources, and equal opportunities are not simply accidents of faith or a lack of availability of resources, but rather the result of discriminatory laws, policies, and social practices that leave particular groups of people further and further behind.
Umphathi welihlangothi lolubukete ekutalana itiko letempilo Bonisile Nhlabathi uthi njengoba mhlabuhlangene wasukumisa lo hlelo ngenyanga yengongone eminyakeni lophelile uhulumende ukukhanza kumgcoka ukuthi akhulumisane netinhlangothi lebetinganakekeleki kahle ngaphambilini kuthi atokhona kufeza yonke imigomo yekwelapha sonke sive ngalokwenetisako afinyelele nasemgomeni wesithathu kuleyo yakamhlabuhlangene lekuyimigomo yentuthuko lekhonsako.
Sitodweba umushi nje nala lo include kona lokho ukuthi labantu bethu lesithi abanakekeleki kahle sitawuba richa yini silama targets ethu leswasethile sitawukhona yini yipi tindlela sito contribute kulo mgwaqo lo nje ukuthi tindlela lesitawudenda kuze sibalwe nathi njengelive leselibiwa reach lelo 10 to 10 we ma targets ethu.
Imithetho lebonakala ukuthi ngiyo lefaka sandla ekunganakekelini kahle kwetinhlangothi thite tebantu kubhekeke ukuthi iguculwe kude live litokhona kwehlisa linani lebantu labathola ligciwane le-HIV kuleli liphindze lifeze umgomo wesithathu wetempilo kuleyo yakamhlaba leli-17. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV kubika Mbongwa Dube eMbabane.
Idlalo umceceshile omusha walikhethelo lesive labomake Sithebe Samhlekazi izwe likhoza uthi unike umsebenzi ukuthi athuthukise likhethelo ngoba anelwadi lebhola yabomake. Abekhulumana lomsakato kalobamba.
Ngitrainiwe mina kucoach eMantfombatana. Kwafika lo mnyemake kuthiwa ngihulina waseSweden oyowangitraina. 1 2 ngiyayibukela ibhola eMantfombatana. Kude itarget labanginike yona. Kodwa obviously velifuna kudlaleke ngcono. Bafuna kubona lokuthi iyathuthuka ile team, iyakhula ile team. Ngilo imandate banginike yona. Bafuna kuyibona ikhula le team ingemi ndzawonye o ingabiyele emuva. Lokile ngikhanze bo coach umsebenzi lomhle bebawenda. La bebakhona. Munike lo msebenzi lomhle bebawenda. Mina sengidawungeda lapha bebashiye khona. Siye nabo as a team. I-pressure vele ngisiyimele sisebenza ngayo vele i-pressure kala coaching. Sicala ne-Burkina Faso, sicala ne-Burkina Faso ekhaya. Bese siya away, then bese kulandzela iCOSAF kule nyanga letako.
Basebambe kuba ngumengameli wenhlangano lengamele ibhola eveni Steve Horton ukhumbutele iqembu le-Green Mamba kuthi njengoba lisabheke eveni leMozambique edolobheni eMaputo kuyodlala umlende wecala we-CAF Champions League preliminary round neliqembu le-FCUD Songo matabe bamelele live lokubita ukuthi batimisele kulomdlalo. Horton bekakhulumana akavalelisa leliqembu Technical Center kalobamba. Ngalototi imidlalo sibukela lapho tindzaba tethu deswati sitawuthatha ikhefu nasibuya sitabe sikhulumisana nomxhumanisi wenkampani yeSwatini Revenue Service sikhuluma ngato tindzaba tebhadalwa kwemthelo.
yo, this is DJ Cybers.
What's up, guys? King J's here.
My name is Kripo Intellectual.
What's up, everybody? My name is SK.
Hey guys, this is your girl Z.
This weekend Eswatini has been such an amazing show. For all the years, they've always supported all the local talent and all the local shows.
Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Fridays.
It's one of the best entertainment shows Eswatini.
So guys, you know what? This is the best show to have. Like, if you watch Swazi TV and you're a person who actually enjoys watching like musical shows that have a lot of content, that have good stuff, This Weekend Eswatini is your show.
For all the good vibes, all the good energy, make sure you tune into This Weekend Eswatini every Friday from 5:30 to 6:30. I'll say it again, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m.
A 1-hour fun-filled train of entertainment. We are taking you from 5:30 all the way to 6:30 every Friday, live on Eswatini TV.
And yes, of course, we are your #1 entertainment show in the kingdom of Eswatini. But you can interact with us on all social media platforms. We are at This Weekend Eswatini on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Lalela Tina, we will definitely get back to you. This is your official weekend party starter.
I don't wanna go around singing songs that people don't.
Sibenzele sinimukele sibonga kakhulu ukuthi isolo nihleli nasi siyakuvuselana olosandza kusivulela ngelesihlanu yathi ngalabo lesihlanu sikhuluma donati indzaba ekubhadalwa kwemthelo dokumlekone ukuthi evikini eliphelile sakhuluma ngeluhlelo i-authorized economic operator ngase namhla ke sitawube sikhuluma ngemthelo lebitwa ngokuthi withholding tax on rental payments ngivele nginaye lapha communications director Vusi Dlamini kulosiniketa nje kabantu lwadi ukuthi ngumthelo umuntu lona ukuthi bobani lekumele bawubhadale ngikhosi sakuvusela futhi welcome and good morning. I think mhlambe nawe sichazela nje kabantu ukuthi yini kahle kahle le withholding tax on payment rental.
Okay, sibonge Lulu. Sibonge nekuthola lithuba nalamuhla. Maybe umuntu akaqale ekucaleni ukuthi uma sikhuluma ngemthelo lo mthelo lona sikhuluma ngekuthi ngumthelo we-income. Lokusho ukuthi it is tax that is based on income that is earned by someone. So it's similar tax in a way to pay as you earn. It's an income tax. So it pay as you earn kwayona, if you look at it, it's a withholding tax because it's when if you are working today for Eswatini TV will withhold a certain tax from you. Nangabe bekathe tutakholela imali lengaka ubamba imali lethile lengumthelo ayilethe ke ku Eswatini Revenue Service. Now it's a similar principle for withholding tax on rental. So in this particular case sikhuluma ngekuthi ngiphinza ngibekise ngithi nangabe kuyendeka Eswatini TV would decide ukuthi ngineti 70 dam lengisebenta nato and ngifuna ukuthi rentela accommodation let's say in town. And I will pay 5,000 per employee. Noma ke ngibuke ukuthi nangithola leyo accommodation, let me make an example and say ngidawurentela Lulu i 2-bedroom house and I will pay 5,000 as a Eswatini TV. If that property like Rentago Eswatini TV is owned by an individual, ngibekise again and say the property we rent from me as Vusi. Imali utayibhadala mine angithi as Vusi as an individual for renting that property on your behalf. The tax has got nothing to do with you as the occupant, no matter as the tenant in that particular property. What we are talking about is a situation where if Eswatini TV then is paying Vusi, who is the owner of the property, as an individual, because Vusi is now earning income from a business or from Eswatini TV, which is an entity. The entity, which is Eswatini TV in this case, is expected to withhold a certain percentage from the rental payments. Nasa patala Vusi Eswatini TV kuti singpatalela Lulu accommodation yana occupation nayi. So ngidawubamba 10% of that. Let's say it was 5,000. Ubamba 10% of that and remit it to the ERS. kusho ukuthi utawubhadala Vusi only 4,500.
Okay, so is lo 10% a stipulated amount noma mhlambe kuyashana ngokuthi le ndlu inganani, perhaps i-1 bedroom, i-1 room, niyakubuka into ukuthi mhlambe le ndlu inganani lele ngirenthola yona ngu-Eswatini TV?
Because as I mentioned, this tax definitely has nothing to do with the tenant or the person law occupier land. So it's all to do with the income that is earned by Vusi law owner the property. So the percentage is just across, it's 10%, regardless kutsi lendlu le rentwago ing malini.
Okay, so mangabe vele mhlambe Eswatini TV njengoba sibhekisa ukuthi sibhekisa ngeSwatini TV na Vusi Dlamini, ngabe Eswatini TV angambhadali Vusi Dlamini, ngabe vele mhlambe bese kuba inkinga kubani loyo, uyangena in-tenant lapho noma mhlambe nine ERS ubese udila naye Eswatini TV?
It's Vele, as I say, I'm happy that you're asking that question, because Vele, we want to remove the tenant from the entire transaction. It's exactly the same principle with pay as you earn. As I mentioned earlier, if kungendeka business A abambe pay as you earn from an employee, ERS, we are not going to go after the employee. We will go after the business A who was expected to withhold pay as you earn. It's the same principle naglo 10% that we are talking about. The company A is renting property from an individual, vele le mali sitayibheka kuye, and we're expecting that they should actually remit it.
Okay, so uyibhadala kanjani ke mhlambe Eswatini TV le mali ku ERS? Is it on a monthly basis noma mhlambe kunesigaba lapha khona ayikhokha khona le mali?
We will expect that after 15 days ayibambile kufuna ukuthi bese uyayiremita to us. Yes, sho ukuthi nasayibambile nje nangabe uyibambile from business A, I mean from individual A, we are remitter. It's pretty much similar, as I mentioned. It's the same tax basically as pay as you earn, because in a pay as you earn, we expect that nasaibambile umqashi within by the 14th of the following month kufuna abe ayilethile ku ERS, nalapha it is the same principle.
Okay, so siyayibona mhlambe compliance njobulana nje Nkosi, ngiyakholelwa ukuthi mhlambe kukhona lapho kunetikhala khona, mhlambe kukhona lapho bo landlord labanganibambisi khona ne ERS, inganani mhlambe lelizinga le compliance kubo ma standard make mhlambe le nkampani?
The level of compliance is not what we expect it to be, which is why we time and again want to remind, particularly Emma business la rentela tisebendi dawo accommodation, ukuthi awubambe lo mthelo from those individuals laba suke barenta kubo le property. And I also need to mention ukuthi this doesn't apply in a situation where the owner of the property is another company. If let's say the owner of that property is another company and Eswatini TV is renting from a company for its employees, then this law doesn't apply, because that company is then expected to submit their own returns and make EMA payments, EMA taxes on that. So there is no need for them to be withholding if it is company to company. But if it is individual, I think you will understand why. Again, it's same principle as pay as you earn. If for pay as you earn, bekungathiwa I think it is less likely that you will comply, and it will be very complicated because there are many individuals. But in a situation where it is a company, it becomes easy for that company to take responsibility and remit what is expected. So this rule doesn't apply if it's company to company.
Okay, mhlambe nangasichaza nje mhlambe lama stages Nkosi, ukuthi ngiyabekisa nje mhlambe kunama standard lomusha lo wakhe nje block of flats mhlambe nayo ufuna ku comply nalomthelo lona, ingabe mhlambe wenda kanjani nje kubhalisela ukuthi naye ayikhokhe leyo mali leyo percentage leyo lomthelo?
Okay, I think now when it comes to, I will come back at some point, Stokluma specifically now to Boma stand, if you are owning property as an individual, what is expected from you? Because in this particular case, the compliance is expected from the company that is renting the property from lomastandi who could be an individual. Sibhekeke ukuthi leyo ngapani ngibekusengayo Eswatini TV nase ayibambile le mali wayiremitha kithi kufuna amendelele so certificate lo individual lo owner le property to say ngibambe 10% of your tax and here is the certificate, the withholding tax certificate. It's exactly the same principle that we are using again kuPhezu, and ukuthi at the end of the year uma asakubambela umthelo as an individual employer kufuna akunike leso certificate ukuthi ubambele umthelo longanani. So it's exactly the same principle nangala.
Okay, ngiyavakala ngosikugcina nje Dlamini mhlambe ama contact details nangabe kukhona lapho mhlambe labafisa nje ukubuta leminye imibuto bangaxhumana nani kanjani?
Inombolo tethu ilandline yethu is 24064050 24064050. We are also available on WhatsApp. People can just send us a message to 76063735. And then also on our Facebook page, we are very active there, and we are happy to respond to comments or direct messages from our clients.
All right, thank you so much. Ngosembukele sokuthi vele bekungiwo umthelo lobitwa ngekuthi withholding tax on rental payment asichazela ngawo lapha Vusi Dlamini. Kanti mawufuna ukuvaka abantu nje basavedile ungaxhumana nabo ekhasini labo Ngcomvo Mshini. Second break stawube sichubeke nehlelo.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Right, it's 42 minutes after 6. Siwamukele ngoyilo mhlehlelo nisiphinza ke sikuvuselana nawe Lothanza kusijoyina lesikhathi sanyalo sitawubuka a clip letawuchaza kabanti njengoba chazile lolu nacahlelo ukuthi Eswatini TV will be broadcasting lukhetho for lalonyaka ama primary elections ebigini lelitako sitawuva ke ku editor in chief nabo senior communications officer ekutheni how are we going to broadcast the elections.
Malinga siyathi ukuthi umsakazo wethu Eswatini TV kunenzima lenkulu loyidlalako kubabukeli bemsakazo uyafundzisa uyatisa uphinze futhi uentertain kulesikhathi esikhulu sonyalo sesikhatsini wemsebenzi lobaluleke kakhulu esiveni seMaswati lokungumsebenzi olikhetho lakho nasibheke ngalabovu ukuthi uthi uphela lomnyaka sibe sesinahulumende lomusha ngabe yini umsakazo wethu nje lo wethembisa wona babukeli njengoba usibhekena lo msebenzi lo ngaki commitment yalo msakazo emsebenzini welikhetho.
Singe Eswatini TV isodwa siyajabula kakhulu ukuthi once again siyakhona ukuthi silethe bukhoma nema programs labanye latobe are packaged ema elections that will be taking place ngoba nje neligama noma itheme lemcwa kakhulu leyashiwo silo malivula eParliament asho ukuthi ke ngede ngasala masakha live lethu na Eswatini TV uhamba kuwo ke lamagama lawo ukuthi neke vele sisale which means lokhu sitobe sesakada nje lawa ama elections siyathi ukuthi emhla ka 26 August is around the corner vele sesilungiselele ukuthi siyaphuma sigcala lonke live laMswati sihambe siyobona ukuthi ingabe ema elections ahamba njani edinkhundleni sitawuphinza siphume singene nalamakhaya sitotfola laMswati kumbe loneke uwakhanze kumbe edolobheni noma uwakhanze ukuthi bantu labalene dini ukuthi bahlethi lapha ku mebhektinkhundla you want the ordinary Swazis as well lokuthi nawo sithole imivo yabo ukuthi njengoba nje siya kuma elections how do they feel, how are they embracing it, what is the excitement how is the excitement around eMaswati, because this is a life-changing experience and onke eMaswati kangwane kufanele ukuthi amthatha lo msebenzi lona embrace. So seeing Eswatini TV sithi aneke ke sisalele emuva dinhlelo tethu njengoba ubonile sodwa sikecalile vele mangabe kuphuma ukuthi kuyafundziswa civic education ibe khona sakhona ukuthi simkhokhele yonke le civic education go Eswatini TV. We moved to Emma nominations. Lokho kenya lokho sasithi ke sikhuluma tindzaba tema elections mhla ka 26. I-management ke yase Eswatini TV kanye nemphathi wethu si Babemlamoni Dlamini kunemagama lawasho makafika kithi Eswatini TV ukuthi he commits to drive Eswatini TV towards innovation. And this is what we plan to do in 2023. Kuti masikava ema elections ethu, we are going to be innovative. Singasaleli a move. And when we are speaking innovation, what are we speaking? Sikhuluma sakuthi kenyalo e-content asisamele ukuthi kumbe sifike emakhaya ukuthi ngigijime nge7 o'clock ngifuna ukubekela tindzaba. Uma ngabe leto tindzaba nga7 likhanza ukuthi kumbe usebhasini, likhanza ukuthi kumbe usasedolobheni wena manje ama responsibilities akho ongumvu. Sithi sinala ma platforms ke social media lapho khona sitobe sifaka nalapho leyo information ukuthi nyalo sesikuphi kuphi nelive naku lokwendekako ema elections ahamba kanjena sifake nalabantu batikhulumele because they must voice it. That is what we are going to do. We want to increase the reachability. We want to increase nale interaction from sive ukuthi sithi khulumele siphinda sibe na YouTube channel yethu ke lapho khona vele sifaka at length le content yethu ukuthi utakhanza ukuthi sisenkundleni etside bayawenda ke lawo ma elections akhona ukuthi phindze sifake yonke le content leyo njengoba yabona ukuthi ubona ukuthi sasebenzisana nale traditional media which is the screen that you have at home. Uyakhulumisana ke lokho kithi ke nalama YouTube channels less now, especially the YouTube channel ngalokuthi uma ngabe tindzaba kumbe tidlalile taphela nga7 tafika 7 sithi ke sithi kuma viewers emakhaya ukuthi ke abawavule lama channels la khona la e-social media batakuthola konke bukhoma le information ukubona nje ukuthi live ingabe libheke kuphi lokho sitobe sisakada lama elections mhla ka26. Siyajabula kakhulu siyacela futhi nabasoma business ukuthi nayi opportunity to align your business towards elections because we know that this is a national event. Here is an opportunity to align your product, to align your company. Utotangqongqotha emnyanga ka marketing osho ukuthi ke ufuna kufaka i-advert noma ufuna kufaka i-message kumbe le congratulate le stage lesikuso njengoba singena kuma elections. So naloko nje siya ku encourage a lot kubo bosoma business ukuthi abasonzele bosoma business sitawusebenzisana nabo ka Swazi TV. Futhi si encourage nalokuthi sikhuluma nje ngale social media ngifuna lokuthi ngwaliste lokuthi Swazi TV utholakala kuphi noma Eswatini TV njalo. Sinabo Facebook, sikhona ku Twitter, sikhona ku Instagram, sikhona ku TikTok. Lawa ma platforms lawo they are fed timely. Anike sithi siwafida ukuthi kumbe kuba nesikhathi vele they will be active sifaka yona le content. Siya encourage ukuthi emaswati awasebenzisa lama platforms lawa you will get information and aneke asalele emuva. 26 August umcoka ke sisemaswati and umcoka kakhulu nathi singumsakade welive siyadichenya siyajabula futhi ukuthi sidobe sikhona kumenda lo msebenzi lona njengoba wadi zodwa nisebenza nje e-newsroom siyati ukuthi nidobe nisebenza lapha nalapha niphumile ngcwele live lonke to bring i-content as it happens from le tinzawo letahlukahlukene la even la Mswati. Siyajabula kakhulu and sicela encourage wona eMswati ukuthi ayibukele Eswatini TV. We are going to give them quality content and quality coverage on the 26th of August.
Mr. Mlelekeng siyati ukuthi sikumsakado litfombe Eswatini TV kunemsebenzi lomkhulu lesibhekene nawo umsebenzi welive la khona sathi ukuthi umsebenzi welukhetho la khona sibheke ukuthi kube nehulumende lomusha kutse madrutane even la Eswatini. Siubonile umsakado litfombe kuma nominations noma nakunconywa udlale inzima lenkulu. Sibhekile ke sisive nebabukeli ukuthi kube khona futhi lenisikhombisa kona. Ngabe vele nilungise ini ngalomgcibelo lesiya kuwo evikini letako njengoba kutabe kuma primary elections nangilesonto.
Cha angibonge zodwa kumbe umva ngathathana lethuba lekubonga nje baphathi baso stage semsakado etithombe Eswatini TV ukuthi bakukhanze kumcoka ukuthi nathi sibe ingcenye yalomsebenzi lomkhulu welive. Lokusho ukuthi lesibulungisile nje ukuthi ngalomgcibelo womhla ka26 kusukela ngensimbi yesikhombisa ekseni kude kumbe kuyawuba kusihlwa siyawube vele sikhona sicitheke kuwo onke ama regions elive sicoverisha lolukhetho lethu. Lokusho ukuthi siyawube umbukeli ekhaya simlethela njengaloku kwendeka. Lengicabanga ukuthi kuyinfo le kahle ke lena Zodwa nasikhulumisa nje tindzaba dalo likhetfo ngoba likhetfo lethu sithi lu credible futhi sithi lu transparent. So sengumsakado ke sifuna ukuthi sikuvete lokho esiveni kubonakala ukuthi nasikhuluma ngelikhetfo ekhaya eSwatini sikhuluma kumbe ngeprocess lehamba kanjani so that sitoyi appreciate singemaswati uphindze nje nemhlaba uyi appreciate. Utawuthi ke ngelisonto Zodwa utakhumbula lokho ukuthi kude langa lekhetfweni ngilomgcibelo ngelisonto ke sitaphenze sibuye singumsakado kusho kusukela nje ngensimbi yesiphohlongo ekseni kude kumbe kuyawuba semini ngabo 12 lapho ke siyawube sesiletha nje update ema results ezangena siphindze ke sinaletinye ngiyawusho nje ukuthi tinhlelo noma ama activities la aligned nawo lama elections kutawuba nema debates kube ne analysis lesicabanga ukuthi ingcayizivele kumbukeli weEswatini TV nakuso nje sive semaswati lo ukuthi nasibuka likhetfo siyayisibone kumbe la ngesheya kubo America uyabona ukuthi nakusikhathi selikhetfo le television noma lo msakado wabo edithombe vele kugcwala lo likhetfo nathi ke ngicanga ukuthi ngeguide abaphathi sithatha lo nyawo lelo ukuthi since lena kuyi national event lemcoka kakhulu eveni asikhombise sikhombise sive shothi nje ngalesonto kusukela ngalo 8 to 12 bese ke siphindze siyabuya ngetindzaba takusihlwa lengemva kwaletindzaba sitabe sesiba nema hour amabili sesiyagocoda lokushothi lapho cishe konke lesitabe sesikhulumisa na IBC uyabe sekasiconfirmela ngoba sibuka ukuthi nangibala nje ukuthi ngalomgcibelo vele ngilapho khona uthola ukuthi sisebenta cishe vele ama hours lamanyenti ngalesonto ke sesilethe ama results sesiya analyzer sesiletha ndawusho ukuthi nje nekusho ukuthi stage sema primaries sesiyazivala ngekuthi naku kuhambe kanje shothi nje ngiloko
Njalo ngembukeli bekuyekelo editor in chief John Mololeke ngasichazela ukuthi lukhetho kutaw sebendeka kanjani evikini lelitako kanye naye senior communications and brand officer nomcebo Malinga ukuthi kutabe kontekane emphela somveni letako nakuchubeka wona ema primary elections.
Otherwise it's 52 minutes after 6. Let's get an update ekutheni sime kanjani simo emikwaqweni from Sergeant Begmuzi Gule Makobane lotasipha yona traffic update. We'll go for a quick ad break ungenzawo.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Let me tell you about my crush. Ngenzane inhlitiyo yami embi kwakho njengekudala.
Ngondlo esiswayo.
It is 3 in the afternoon. We are back in the living.
For men are so kind towards creation more than they even were to their own creator.
I am the greatest of this generation. They'll be calling me the girl who made poetry look cool, yo. Cool.
Lesithupha nje kuphela kubumbane insimbi yesikhombisa lomhla ekuseni isikhathanyalo ke sithola i-traffic update from Sergeant Begmuzi Gule Makobane sikuvusele lomhla ekuseni ngabe uthini umbiko losiphathele wona
Anguvusele mnguni ngivusele umbukelo welihlelo emigwaqweni yethu imithamo yethu modolo seyivele iqalile ukuphakama nelinani labo laphamba ngesinyawo libonakala liphakama sibili kakhulukazi indzaweni lethi semadolobheni lapho ke kunemisebenzi emikhulu efaka lapha enasedolobheni la kumathapha la sikuzelela khona nokukhuthaza abashayeli ukuthi asibanake labo labahamba ngesinyawo senesiqiniseko sokuthi ke siyabanikeza lithuba leliyawo ngilelo leliphephile wewela wona ke umgwaqo kanti emadolobheni ethu kuba nemigwaqo embabane kumathapha kamanzini nalapha enhlangano sisebenza kahle noko ke edolobheni elikhulu eMbamane kunasiya stela lesisuka lapha ngase iCourt Somhlolo Road longena ekhaya edolobheni sekwakhiwe ke ema-speedhams lapho labeka ngekho emalangeni lendlulile lesingakugcizelela nje kakhulu ukuthi bashayela bakunake ukuthi lawo ama-speedhams asengakabonakali edemidvebo yaphansi lengona ikhombisa kokuthi lembala sekunelihambo lapha nema-temporal speedhams ke abekiwe ke kuletinye indzawo cishe nje umgwaqo wonke uyazanya ukuthi lelitubane lokhanjwa ngalo nakube kungumgwaqo lomuhle kube litubane leliyawunakekela nalabo ke labahamba ngado dinyawo ngako sithi ke asekuqaphele lokho kakhulu kanti ke lapha enthameni yakumalagwane solo ikhona i-cooling station emile emaloli lamakhulu la abonakala khona athatha umzila longasenqele kahle lapha itule ke lasengwenya na uyafika lapha kule traffic section nakhona akhona emaloli lamakhulu lapho lemthetho wona ke umzila longasenqele nakhona sijebe kunene asichubeke sinake sishayelele ngalokukhulu ukucophelela sisasonzela kuleyo ngcwana leyo lapha kumathapha solo ikhona leya portal letholakala lapha elisoshwana kunathi yadibana temgwaqo lesithi nakhona zokunene asiqaphele ikakhulukazi nasijika ukuqhamuka khona ebeverages utawujikela kule traffic section uthatha sekudla noma ke uqhamuka indawo eblokweni elisoshwana ubuka yona i-traffic section nakhona kuyadinga ukuthi sibeketelelane kwathi selitubane lokhanjwa ngalo lapha libangele phansi kakhulu nawenza leyo traffic section lapha enhlangano solo yakhiwa umgwaqo long MR11 kanjalo ke nawuqhamuka ngala kaMjuda noma uqhamuka ngale eRoyal Casino la sisebenzisa italadi ke letikhona ekhasi edolobheni kuseweda noma ke kusephumelisa ngale shelo kwalo ke lidolobha bese ke kulenye ifunza lesibona ngawo ama-potholes asekhona lemigwaqo ke leminingi imidwebo yaphansi ayisabonakali ikakhulukazi lapho kunenkungu khona noma ke litulu lina khona noma ke sekuhalele sicubeke sibashayeli sinake siqaphelisise emehlo ethu abe ngilakhalipile ukuqinisa yona ke indlela sicala yona impela sonto singagcizelela bekunenele ukuthi asichubekeni phela sinake singathi imotolo kanti sesithethe mandela sakusako nendlela lesiyawuhamba ngayo sigibelisane ngayo emotolweni akube indlela leyakuba ngilephephile leyawukhombisa ukuthi silayishe ngelinani elifanele netimotolo tethu sihlalise kahle lezo size nato tingiletho letiphilile sifisela nje sona sive semaswati indlela lenhle nalephephile sisayisebenzisa imigwaqo nanendlela emsakatho sinifisele lona lusuku loluhle nempela sonto yebo leyawuba ngilephephile siyabonga kakhulu
lo magwabane leyo traffic losipha yona le comprehensive sethemba ukuthi ke baqhubi betimotolo batawuqaphela leto sikabetolo soti bali la sibasele market masinyane sitawubuya sichubeke nehlelo
Libandla letela ukhefo nemingcele iEBC latisa sive semaswati ukuthi mhla ka26 Ingci 2023 lilanga lelibekelwe sigaba selukhetfo lekuqala kuleti gaba sive sidabe sikhetha labaqhuzelana kuba indvuna yenkundla noma kuba lilunga leParliament emiphakatsini yabo tikhungo tekuvuta titawuvulwa ngensimbi yesikhombisa kutsi made kube insimbi yesikhombisa ntsambama sive siyacelwa ukuthi sikhumbule kuphatha bomatisi baso siphinde sigcine nesikhathi
livoti lami libalulekile futhi alithengiswa ngede ngasala nasakha live letfu
Siyabonga umsakathi kuthwala lithuba cha sivise emaswati siphumile ngetinkani kulo mnyaka we-2023 sibabonile inombolo yenyuka impela sibili yenyukile before kuvalwe bantu ke bafundisekile umsakathi ukuthi abaphume bayoncoma bavote ngoba uhulumende ngewabo intuthuko ibuya kubo yonke intuthuko lento ke emangweni ayisuqhamuka mhlambe kule indzawo ayiqhamuke ngetifiso tethu ukuthi besifise kube nanaku umsakathi kuloko
engabe mnguni kulesikhathi lesi ungakhuthatha uthini kuso sive semaswati uyukhanze ukuthi siyabhalisa ngelizinga lesetulo nakufanele siyawuvota sive sisalele emuva mnguni
sive kusalela kwasomva ukuthi ingoni letinengi kungaba mhlawumbe kukhinyabeteka kwebantu ukuthi lona ukhubatekile ngandlela thite akakhona ukuhamba la kunyukela khona imibolo umfula noma nje kube njani ngiko lesithi nako lokho kule ntuthuko lesithi asibavotela bona mhlambe bahambe bakufake ukuthi umlokhu batekile usicela naye cabangele asisho ukuthi abacabangele kodwa nje lizinga liphakaphakama kubonakala ukuthi nabo bangemaswati bayingcenye yethu eParliament nakhona besinxusa lokuthi mhlawumbe nasetinkundleni ukuthi labo labakhubatekile bamane babe khona imivo yabo itovakaleka kakhulu kulabo mhlawumbe kulabanye labakhubatekile emangweni kunemisumbe kunabo labo nje tibonza temango ngibo lekufanele ukuthi phecelezi ba-identify bantu benzawo ngoba umuntu nje lofika kwencewe yadengcela ngiyabekisa utele tinjongo takhe lapha kubetelwa bekunene kutoholwa kutelwe kutodevelopa ummango ngicabanga ukuthi lokho abakwekhute labafanele ikakhulu lababuka imimango naleyo misumbe konke nje netindfundo
Siyabonga mkhulu.
Siyabonga kakhulu.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at our English news. His Majesty King Mswati III has participated in the SADC 43rd Ordinary Summit held in Luanda in the Republic of Angola. His Majesty encouraged SADC member states to make use of natural resources in order to spur economic growth in the region. His Majesty was accompanied by Nkosikati Magenandendeza at the summit.
His Majesty King Mswati III, who is in the Republic of Angola to attend the 43rd SADC Ordinary Summit under the theme, Human and Financial Capital, the key drivers for sustainable industrialization for SADC region, met with the heads of state for the 16 member states of the SADC organization. His Majesty was accompanied by Nkosikati Magenandendeza. The summit is expected to give Eswatini and other member states an opportunity to reflect on the achievements and challenges that countries are faced with. The chairmanship of the SADC organization was with the Democratic Republic of Congo. His Excellency Felix Antoine Chilombo has now passed the baton to the President of the Republic of Angola, His Excellency João Lourenço. The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo thanked the summit for the support while His Excellency was chairing the organization.
Vossa Excelência deixa-nos grande legado.
The President of Angola also delivered his acceptance speech and hoped for continued support and cooperation.
Trabalho por si realizado.
We are confident that the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Kingdom of Eswatini, the Republic of Madagascar, and the Democratic Republic of Congo will undertake elections in a climate of peace.
The President of Namibia, as the outgoing chair of Traker Organ, His Excellency Hage Geingob, also passed the chairmanship position to the incoming chair. The incoming Traker Organ chair, the President of Zambia, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, accepting the baton, hoped for cooperation in delivering the organ's mandate.
Most of our populations are young, and they are in need of skills, education. They are in need, all of us, in need of health, in need of jobs, in need of business opportunities. If and when we have no peace and stability, it is absolutely difficult, near mission impossible, to deliver better lives for our populations.
There was also a session of awards that included an award of appreciation to the former president of Botswana, Sir Seretse Khama, which was received by former President, His Excellency Ian Khama. Other awards included SADC Media Awards and SADC Secondary Awards, and one of the students is a Liswati.
In the second position, we have Ms. Luyanda Simelane from the Kingdom of Eswatini, and she will walk away with the second prize of $1,000.
In a closed session, His Majesty King Mswati III articulated that the summit is held in the midst of an uneven global political landscape, which is of great concern to humanity. Shortages and soaring food prices, conflicts and migration of young people from the SADC region to other regions of the world, climate change effects, unemployment and poverty. His Majesty stated the African continent is being negatively impacted by these data as it is impending the goal of creating a conducive environment for the people to live in, as expressed in the African Union Vision 2063, which is the Africa we want. His Majesty emphasized on the need for a more inclusive, sustainable and efficient use of natural resources, which includes selling to the world finished products from the minerals. His Majesty stressed that to achieve sustainable industrialization in the SADC region, it is the responsibility to member states to see to it that the young population remains healthy, is at school attaining quality education and skills, and also has basic infrastructure needed to ensure equitable industrial development. The King also informed the gathering that the Kingdom of Eswatini will be holding its national elections for members of parliament this year, respectively. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia in Luanda, in the Republic of Angola.
His Majesty King Mswati III says the Maswati will dialogue and deliberate on key national issues at Sibaya after the national elections exercise. His Majesty was speaking during the SADC Organ on Politics, Defense and Security meeting, which was held during the 43rd SADC Summit in the Republic of Angola.
His Majesty King Mswati III, while in the Republic of Angola, also took part in the SADC Organ on Politics, Defense and Security, which is TROICA. Speaking during the meeting in a closed session, His Majesty said the Kingdom of Eswatini made her position on the national dialogue explicitly clear. The King said the dialogue will take place after the national elections in accordance with the constitutional and legal dictates. His Majesty appreciated the effort by SADC in providing Eswatini with a draft framework. The King further said the Kingdom of Eswatini stands guided by the Constitution on matters. The Ingwenyama also highlighted that it is of concern that the extracts from the SADC Advisory Council pre-election assessment mission appear to have been selectively chosen to fit a narrative that the kingdom is still in need of a particular form of intervention. His Majesty also revealed that the Kingdom of Eswatini is pleased to be able to report to the Troika that the country has been able to restore peace on its own and has been enjoying sustained peace and stability. His Majesty also revealed that the Kingdom of Eswatini is pleased to be able to report to the Troika that the country has been able to restore peace on its own and has been enjoying sustained peace and stability. The King also stated that it is puzzling to note that SADC would continue acting based on an alternate narrative contrary to what prevails on the ground. The King and Ingwenyama further added that the majority of those who were killing Emaswati, including members of security forces and traditional authorities, have been apprehended and are behind bars. His Majesty also said the country is also aware of some people who perpetrated violence and have found refuge in neighboring countries. The King said whilst in those countries they have continued to promote hate speech and seek to perpetrate violence, that they have been instrumental in mainstreaming and aware to the fact that some of these non-terrorists are receiving trainings in these countries. His Majesty also indicated that the country's voters' roll represent 90% of the eligible voters and further revealed that it is at Sibaya that Eswatini will dialogue and deliberate on key national issues. The king mentioned that the kingdom's system of governance has been long in place and it was through the system that decisions impacting growth and development have been taken. The king said when the kingdom attended the SADC summit in the Democratic Republic of Congo last year, Eswatini requested that SADC assist with curtailing the terrorist outbreak that had befallen to the country. But instead of assistance being given to Eswatini to curb these activities, the kingdom was told that there should be negotiations with the perpetrators of violence. On the news, I'm Paulile Mazia in Luanda, in the Republic of Angola.
The Minister for Jinkundla and Development, David Nkampalala, says government is committed to supporting Eswatini to be in a position to create business opportunities for themselves through skills and funds availed by government. The minister says Eswatini should consider to fully utilize the Regional Development Fund and create income generation projects. He was speaking during a graduation ceremony for women in development, which was held at Mahlangaja.
48 Eswatini graduated in Mahlangaja Women in Development Training Center after being trained for a period of 9 months. The majority of the group were women. Speaking during the event, the Minister for Jinkundla and Development, David Nkampalala, commends government for the decentralization of services and skills. Nkampalala says government is working tirelessly in providing opportunities for Eswatini, especially in the area of eliminating poverty. Nkampalala says most of the products that students showcased truly demonstrate the hunger for success.
Hulumende wengwenyama akathatheli phansi kubona abantu labaqala emabhizinisi batakumela bona ukuthatha lokho ukuthi ngiyona ndlela lengabe sigijima ngayo ngona mgogodla futhi wahulumende lacabanga ukuthi kuphumelela kwalesive njengoba sathi ukuthi imisebenzi kulamalanga ilukhune kanganani.
Nozipho Dlamini, representing the graduates, says she began her sewing journey around the COVID-19 era, where she was able to sew face masks. Dlamini says her business has grown as she is able to supply different schools with uniforms. Dlamini commends government for allowing them to showcase their passion. Mambatfeni Chief Ndabakawombe Dlamini thanked the Ministry of Jinkundla for hosting the graduation at Mahlangaja. The in-house program has 5 schools across the country. Well, the program has trained 184 of Eswatini from 2019 to 2022. Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Palesan Sibande, Tambashabangu, Mahlangaja.
24 Eswatini have been equipped with skills that will see them preserving culture and tradition in what Eswatini can wear daily. This was through a long-week handcraft training facilitated by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade in collaboration with the University of Eswatini. The ministry has encouraged this Eswatini to use these skills to improve their lives.
Culture and tradition used to be passed on from one generation to the next through storytelling, amongst other means. A training provided to 24 Eswatini has proven that fashion can also be a channel for doing same, as they were capacitated on how to make kanga, which tells the Eswatini story.
We really urge them to go out there today, from today onwards, and be part of the broader community in terms of if all they can also go into cooperatives or they can be sole traders in business. We really do wish them all the best of luck.
The University of Eswatini says skills training is an important tool that can be used to combat unemployment.
It is very important for the university as an outreach program because we also work with youth. We produce students who at the end of the day end up not having employment. So this is one way we are contributing to the community with the hope that they'll be able to be entrepreneurs and train so that they can have their own businesses.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade has encouraged all participants to use the skills to make their lives better. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with the Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
The International Association of Science Parks and Areas of Innovation Africa Division Hybrid Conference has come to an end. Real Science and Technology Park Chief Executive Officer Vumile Dlamini says resolutions taken at the meeting will be communicated to relevant government ministries. The conference was held at Esibayeni Lodge in Matapa.
The United Nations says climate change effects include extreme temperatures, drought, and poverty, amongst others. The Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology says it is confident that attendees of the International Association of Science Parks and Areas of Innovation Africa Division Hybrid Conference will make meaningful impact to solve this global crisis.
Kwapresenta ngisho i-construction industry, bo-smart city, sibonile ama-presentation layelana nalabo bo-waste management, energy generation.
She says the construction industry presented on smart cities and energy generation. She also says Eswatini is ready for innovations that will take the country forward. Real Science and Technology Park Chief Executive Officer Vumile Dlamini says resolutions taken at the conference will be shared with government.
Sinematiko onke la khona event laphathekako ma-ministry laphathekako private sector bekala.
He says members of the association should kindle their flames of engagement, nourish the roots of partnership, and forge unwavering solutions for a future that is both climate resilient and sustainable. One of the guests, Professor Hani Al-Shami, had this to say.
Not only Eswatini, but worldwide is going to be faced a lot of problems because climate change affected in some countries had a lot of waters. It's going to be, affecting, you could not just planting with many waters. It's going to be sprayed some diseases or whatever. It's somehow in another countries you may receive some drought area. That means both of them, it's going to be affected seriously in the food security issue.
The conference has called on everyone to take action in the fight against climate change. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Sebenele Ntetwa, Matapa.
The United Nations Deputy Resident Representative has expressed appreciation to the Ministry of Health for taking significant strides in ensuring that health services are accessible to all people in the country. The Deputy Resident Representative was speaking during a consultative meeting at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel, where the Ministry of Health and stakeholders in the key population sector are meeting to identify gaps in the provision of health services to people who were previously not adequately catered for by health service providers. The meeting is aimed at assisting the country to attain the year 2025 10-10-10 AIDS goals, which speak to less than 10% of countries with punitive laws and policies, less than 10% of people experiencing stigma and discrimination, and less than 10% of people experiencing gender inequality and violence.
Barriers people face in accessing services, resources, and equal opportunities are not simply accidents of faith or a lack of availability of resources, but rather the result of discriminatory laws, policies, and social practices that leave particular groups of people further and further behind.
The Sexual and Reproductive Health Unit Program Manager in the Ministry of Health, Kusile Nhlabati, says since the interim targets for 2025 were launched in December 2022, government has deemed it fit to incorporate contributions from key populations in order to reach all those who need health services, which would help the country in attaining goal number 3 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Sitodweba umushi njenala lo include kona lokho ukuthi labantu bethu lesithi abanakekeleki kahle sitawuba reach yini. silama targets ethu lesiwasethile sidawukhona yini iyiphi indlela sto contributor kulo mgwaqo lo nje ukuthi indlela lesitawudenta kuze sibalwe nathi njengelive leseliwa reach lelo 10 to 10 10 we ma targets ethu.
Laws and policies identified to be inhibitive to some sectors of society from accessing health services will be repealed or amended in order to reduce the number of people who get new HIV infections. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Mbongwa Dube in Babane.
Eswatini TV has assured the nation that the authority will be broadcasting live the country's national elections as they happen. This was revealed by Eswatini's TV Senior Communications and Branding Officer Nomcebo Malinga during an interview.
Country's 2023 national elections are already underway, being the primary elections to be taking place on the 26th and the 27th of August next weekend. Eswatini TV has shown its commitment to broadcast the national elections when they happen, as they happen. Nomcebo Malinga, Eswatini TV's Senior Communications and Branding Officer, gives an update about the station's readiness.
I-management ke yase Eswatini TV kanye nemphathi wethu Babemlamoni Dlamini kunemagama lawasho makafika kithi Eswatini TV ukuthi he commits to drive Eswatini TV towards innovation. And this is what we plan to do in 2023. Kuti masikava ema elections ethu, we are going to be innovative. Singasaleli emove.
Malinga also highlighted that the TV station will also be available on social media platforms broadcasting the national elections. Eswatini TV's editor-in-chief, John Molelekeng, has assured the nation that the news crew will be stationed in all the 4 regions of the country, informing the nation about everything that will be taking place in the voting centers.
As a broadcaster, we will be broadcasting live the election process, which is now entering the primary election stage. So on Saturday, what's going to happen is that we'll start our live broadcast at 7 in the morning. Then we will drag till late. Remember that this is the day where we are expecting to see a lot of emotions in terms of what will be happening, because it is anticipated that we'll also be getting results on that very same day. Then on Sunday, what is going to happen, Zodwa, is that we will have a live broadcast again starting at 8 in the morning up until 12 noon, where we'll now be dissecting the results as they trickle in. We'll also be conducting analysis, and we also hope to provide debates as well on what will be coming from the ground, as our journalists will be scattered in all 4 regions of the country.
Molelekeng also stated that the station has over the years broadcast the important national events. Even this year, the nation is invited to watch Eswatini TV during the proceedings of the national elections. For Eswatini TV News, Zodwa Dlamini, with Sikumbuzo Dlamini and Muzim Konda Mbabane.
It's 23 minutes after 7. Let's take a look at news-making headlines internationally. West African Army chiefs will meet on Thursday in Ghana's capital, Accra, to discuss a possible military intervention in Niger if diplomacy fails to reverse a military coup.
An all-important meeting of the top brass. The military chiefs of nations belonging to the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, have decided to create a standby force, one to be ready to restore constitutional order in Niger. Multiple countries in the bloc have pledged troops, such as Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Benin, and Senegal. In Accra, the goal is to iron out the logistics in the case that a military intervention is decided. But the possibility of ousting the junta in Niger with a military operation has divided the regional group, as well as the African Union, which gathered on Monday. So for now, the bloc and other nations like the U.S. say a diplomatic outcome remains the favored route forward.
We remain very focused on diplomacy for achieving the results that we want, which is the return to the constitutional order. And I believe that there continues to be space for diplomacy in achieving that result.
Adding to the complexity of the situation, thousands in Niger have protested in favor of the junta, which has called on citizens to fight with them if there is a foreign military intervention. As regional powers discuss what to do, the Nigerian military has been consolidating its hold on power. The new prime minister, named by the junta, made an unscheduled visit to Jamena to meet the president of Chad in what he called good neighborliness with the non-ECOWAS nation. A final and ever-important issue is Niger's security crisis. Dozens of Nigerian troops were killed in a jihadist ambush, the worst since the coup, creating fears that jihadists could be attempting to fill a security vacuum.
Embattled officials in Hawaii who have been criticized for the lack of warnings as a deadly wildfire ripped through a town insisted on Wednesday that sounding emergency sirens would not have saved lives. At least 110 people died when the inferno leveled Lahaina last week on the island of Maui, with some residents not aware their town was at risk until they saw flames for themselves.
Over a week ago, when wildfires decimated the town of Lahaina, Maui's siren system did not ring out warnings. Faced with increased criticism over the siren silence, officials explained why cell phone alerts, or WIA, the wireless emergency alert system, was used instead. They feared that people would go up the mountain, or Mauka in Hawaiian, if they heard the sirens, for they're used for tsunamis.
Had we sounded the siren that night, we're afraid that people would have gone Mauka. And if that was the case, then they would have gone into the fire. And so that is the reason why our protocol has been to use WEA and EAS. By the way, I should also note that there are no sirens Mauka, or on the mountainside, where the fire was spreading down.
Officials also addressed concerns over real estate sales on the island. A sought-after tourist destination, rumors abound on Maui of some trying to profit and prey on grieving families.
My intention from start to finish is to make sure that no one is victimized from a land grab. So I've instructed the Attorney General to work toward a moratorium on any transactions.
The painstaking work of combing through the ash continues. Federal officials said the number of cadaver dogs will increase to 40, and a mobile morgue has been brought in. President Biden will visit the area on Monday, an announcement that was met with mixed reactions from locals.
If the president comes here, we are important, and help is coming our way.
We'll see it when he does it. We'll see it when he helps.
Aid continues to be shipped and carried onto the island. Traffic has also returned, with the opening of a main roadway. Schools untouched by the fires have also begun steps to welcome students back again.
Residents of one of the largest cities in Canada's far north were ordered on Wednesday to flee amid warnings that raging wildfires could reach it by the weekend. The crisis in the town of Yellowknife is the newest chapter of a terrible summer for wildfires in Canada, as flames spread quickly across the country, forcing tens of thousands of people to evacuate and sharing large swathes of land.
A blizzard of ash and embers as flames engulf the forest. Canada's Northwest Territories are being ravaged by more than 230 active wildfires.
So this isn't any photo magic.
In Fort Smith, on the Territory's southern border, onlookers were stunned as the sky itself turned a deep orange from nearby fires. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau expressed his solidarity with affected residents as he announced the mobilisation of the Canadian Armed Forces to assist. The territorial government has declared a state of emergency. Hundreds of inhabitants from remote villages have been airlifted to safety after roads out were cut off by raging infernos. Now the wildfires are bearing down on the regional capital Yellowknife, home to some 20,000 people. They've been given until noon on Friday to leave.
There is a possibility that without rain, the fire reaches the outskirts of Yellowknife by the weekend. It is approaching, but there's time to complete the community evacuation. It's being called now so that we can allow people the opportunity to drive while the highway is open.
After up to 14 hours on the road, these evacuees are now safe in the neighbouring province of Alberta.
It's so nice to come down here where you can actually breathe. And we washed our laundry this morning, and all I could smell is the fire smoke.
More than 13 million hectares of Canadian forest have gone up in smoke this year, nearly twice the country's previous record, as droughts and high temperatures brought on by climate change contribute to its worst fire season ever. As of Wednesday, officials reported more than 1,000 active wildfires across the country, with more than 670 burning out of control.
The huge wildfire ravaging the Spanish holiday island of Tenerife that has burnt through more than 2,600 hectares of land is the most complex blaze to hit the Canary Island in 4 decades.
Helicopters flying over scenes of devastation, trying to tackle the blaze spreading across the Canary Island of Tenerife. Part of the green scenery that usually attracts millions of visitors a year now gone up in flames. Around 250 firefighters battled the wildfire, with thick smoke forcing road closures and the evacuation of 5 villages.
I don't think it will get down here. We'll keep an eye on it, but what we saw was horrible, that fire. Horrible.
I went to sleep at about 2:30 or 3:30, and there was about 1 kilometer burning, and I thought, there's no stopping this.
The fire broke out on Tuesday night, raging through a forested area with steep ravines in the northeastern part of the island.
A lot of fuel is channeled and burning at the same time and culminates in the dorsal part. This has caused secondary outbreaks to the north.
Authorities said the flames have so far burned about 1,800 hectares. The disaster comes after the Canary Islands were hit by a heat wave that has left many areas tinder dry, increasing the risk of wildfires.
Spanish lawmakers on Thursday elected the Socialist Party's candidate for parliamentary speaker following a closely watched vote that augurs well for Pedro's efforts to return as prime minister.
78 a favor de doña Francina Armengol Soto.
The Socialist candidate just squeaked over the line. With a 2-vote majority, Francina Armengol is the new Speaker of Spain's lower house. It comes after an inconclusive general election left no party with enough seats to form a government. Armengol won the Speaker's chair thanks to the support of the 7 MPs from the Catalan separatist party Junts per Catalunya. In exchange, the Socialists have promised to promote the use of Spain's minority languages, Catalan, Basque and Galician, in Parliament and in European institutions.
We are enriched by our unreserved acceptance of the plurality of ideas and identities that coexist in our country. And it is this plurality that this House must reflect on in order to get closer to the real Spain, which is diverse, colourful and full of nuances.
But they may have to offer more to guarantee Junts' support in coalition talks. The party wants Madrid to approve a Catalan independence referendum, something Socialist leader and outgoing Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has indicated is not on the table. More palatable, perhaps, is Junts' demand for help for separatists who are facing legal trouble for their participation in a failed secession attempt in 2017. Junts' own leader, Carles Puigdemont, is in exile in Belgium. He's wanted in Spain since that failed independence bid, a fugitive who could now be the kingmaker.
In our sports roundup, we begin with the acting president of the Eswatini Football Association, Steve Horton, who has advised Green Mamba Football Club that is representing the country in CAF Champions League games to do their best and represent the country well. Horton was speaking when bidding farewell to Green Mamba at the Technical Center in Lubamba ahead of their game against UD Songo FC from Mozambique.
In our sports roundup, we begin with Green Mamba Football Club that has left the country for Mozambique to face UD Songo in the first leg of the CAF Champions League preliminary round on Sunday from 3 p.m. Acting Eswatini Football Association President Steve Horton reminded the team that they are representing the country.
To management ya Green Mamba, siyasibonga lesibinzi
Labanye bethu basabile withdraw, but to Green Mamba, thank you. Go and represent us well, and we wish you everything that we can wish you for. Ambaninwini Madoda, make us proud. We have confidence in you.
Both head coach Enes Mavuso and captain Jabrot Fala have assured the nation that they will indeed get good results.
Sisasuka sahamba ema-preparations ethu abengila mahle kakhulu. Siyabonga nabo coach labasibambisile nabo bonke labe bakhona labe basibambisa konke sisalungiselela.
And in other news, newly appointed Sebe Samhlikazi head coach Zweli Khoza says he has been given a mandate of developing the team and be able to compete at an international level in the near future.
Kude itarget labanginike yona kodwa obviously velifuna kudlaleke ngcono. Bafuna kubona lokuthi iyathuthuka ile team, iyakhula ile team.
Lastly, in our international news, Manchester City are the champions of the UEFA Super Cup after beating Sevilla on penalties. The official 90 minutes had finished 1-1. Manchester City have now clinched 4 trophies last season, being 2 domestic trophies and 2 European trophies. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
It's 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. We've come to the end of our English bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. When you come back, we'll be speaking to our sports journalist, Fabrice Musonera.
Are they yours?
Ngabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Right, 38 minutes after 7 kwalomhla siphinze sikwamukele ehlelweni sina Fabrice Msonera losavele asijonile lomhla ehlelweni. Fabrice anguvusele kuseni kunjani?
No, ngivusele mkhulu, ngivusele babukela emakhaya. It's a beautiful morning once again.
Yeah, kunengi ngasikhuluma ngako Fabrice, but ufuna siqale nge-Super Cup. I understand Sevilla was playing on Wednesday. In fact, the Super Cup is interesting because kuphuma winners from both the respective leagues. Was it a result you were expecting?
Typically, yes, one would say yes. Looking at the record of Manchester City, the winners of the UEFA Champions League, Sevilla, I think for them, they have dominated for many years now, the Europa League. So for me, I wasn't surprised. But maybe during the game, you would notice some of those moments where you'd say, City is maybe not that strong as you would expect. A question mark, is it beginning of the season? They still need to add 1 or 2 players, more details to be read. But for me, I think what won is the best team. Who won is the best team on the day. City, the mentality, Coach Pep, some of the key players, Rodri, Kyle Walker, their goalkeeper Edison, and I think Foden trying to play that role for Kevin De Bruyne, who's injured. I was not really surprised, and they deserve it. Congratulations.
But did you expect the game to go to penalties?
I would say yes,
really?
knowing that currently City have got a problem. The engine is really the midfield. If the midfield is not operating, your strikers, your Alvarez, your Haaland won't give you that much. So I expected really that Sevilla might give them a hard time, knowing that they've got one of the good midfielders. They've got Rakitic, Ubanan in the midfield. These are good players in the La Liga. So I was expecting that they could drag them into the last minutes of the game. And lucky enough, this tournament, this trophy doesn't get to the extra time. 90 minutes straight to the penalties.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
which
is a good thing.
But I saw the panic. I think particularly on the coach. because Sevilla scored in the 25th minute, and City couldn't score for most part of the game until maybe the 65th minute. I'm not too sure.
The response, yeah, I wanted to talk about, yeah, I get your point. We say Sevilla opened the score,
yeah,
but I like the response of City and how they know that even in as much as we're not the same team of last season,
yeah,
but their response, those young players, your Palmer and Foden, they try their best.
Yeah.
Kovacic is still adapting to the system. You wouldn't say really he gave you 100%, but he's still adapting to the system. That's what I'm saying, that I don't think Haaland got almost every ball that he deserved like last season, how we saw him. And I think in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne, Ika Gundogan, who is no more with the team, if they were in that team, I think the game could have easily been finished with probably 3-1, 4-1.
England, obviously England beating Australia 3-1 to get to the final. Am I correct? To the final of the FIFA Women's World Cup. Yeah. I remember last week when I spoke to you, I asked you to predict which team is going to, which teams are going to reach the finals, and you rightfully said it's going to be England versus Spain. But you were a little bit worried about Spain facing Sweden, because you did highlight that Sweden is amongst, actually ranked the best team in the FIFA Women's World Cup. I'm not going to ask you if this is a result that you're expecting, because you did rightfully predict that it's going to be England versus Spain. Are you still holding on to England winning the whole thing on the final?
Look, football is coming home. There's no doubt about that. And I think if you talk to any English fan who's either abroad, who's around, football is coming home. And I think they've done, if you look at, they come to this game, they're the European champions.
Yeah.
And I think they have that spirit. The same squad, some of the injured players are back. Lauren James, the sister to Rhys James, who plays for Chelsea, I think has been very important in that midfield. Even though we saw an incident when he played against Nigeria, when he received a red card. I think it was in the quarterfinals. So I think this final, when I say football is coming home, so England, for the very first time, they're going to win the World Cup since 1966. When they won in 1966, it was the men's side that won the World Cup. So now the female side are on the verge of winning, the World Cup for the first time in 67 years. So that it gives you that aspect to say, in 57 years, it gives you that aspect to say, football is coming home. I'm giving that option. Spain won't be easy. Like I said last time, they've got some of the key players, world-class players. It won't be easy to crack. But England, with their supporters in Auckland Stadium in Australia, they're looking to pack it to capacity. And I'm giving to them. The Lionesses are going to be the champions of the world.
Spain only lost to Japan only once on the group stages, and they lost, the score was 4-0. It was July the 31st. I'm looking at their run, just going into the finals.
It's called growing with the tournament.
Yeah. And they've been doing really well, and I'm afraid England is really in it for it.
You look at, I think I look at the journey, maybe from the knockout stages, some of the teams that England played against, and you will give them a chance to say they stand a chance maybe just to go all the way and reach the final. Beating the host nation on its own, that for me is huge. African giants, Nigeria, into the quarterfinals, highlighted it. Some of those, your France, your Brazil. So you look at the journey, then you tell yourself, you know what, for me,
I'm trying to remember if did England lose a single game on their run into the finals? I remember they went into penalty kicks against Nigeria.
Yeah, there were 2 draws. Yeah. I think for them,
did they lose a single game?
No, it was a perfect run. It was just 2 draws, which for me gives me that hope that what they're doing is working for them.
Interesting. Interesting enough. So your prediction is that England is winning this one?
Come Monday, football will be home.
I was actually leaning on England's side, but for the sake of, this rivalry between me and you, I'll go with Spain. So we'll come back and have this conversation next week. Let's go to PSL. We'll obviously look at the fixtures and the log standings. But what's interesting with the PSL is that last week I think you spoke about Kaizer Chiefs. You had a bit of worry about Kaizer Chiefs, but you are quite confident with Sundowns and Orlando Pirates.
I was watching the game against Orlando Pirates and Chippa United. I think the game ended 1-1. And I was like, look, if you look at the chances of Chippa United, and I think there were talks to say, Pirates look strong this season, they might check the league, but I can tell you this on record, Sundowns will once again get their moments and win the league. I mean, there are games that give you that, I think in my opinion.
They do face Chippa this weekend.
Yeah,
the same Chippa that drew with Orlando Pirates. So
which I understood. 4 to 5 players from Chippa United came from Orlando Pirates, so they wanted to prove a point. But for me, this Sundowns, it's all about just getting points and the results. For me, I think they would just give them a run once
It's going to be a game of reckoning because Chippa has a point to prove.
Yeah.
Coming back from what they did against Pirates, they want to do that against the prospectively best team in the PSL.
Exciting game. Yeah,
But
let's
start with Royal AM. I think let's start on the 18th of August. The first game is Royal AM versus Stellenbosch.
I'll go for the AM, and I think currently they're motivated. Look at how they've improved their squad, so they stand a chance. I know it's still early in the season. I mean, there could be shocks and surprises, but for me, I'll go for Royal AM. But look at this fixture: SuperSport United and Cape Town City.
Yeah.
Cape Town City after that defeat in the MTN 8. So you would want to see them come and revenge and come strong. So, but I will still give it to SuperSport United. They know how to control such games. Those mid-table fixtures, so they really do well.
Yeah.
And then you look at Polokwane City and Chiefs. So I think the league where it is, it's early, but the way the games are coming, thick and hard, you give it to all those clubs to get 3 points. But for me, number one,
Mamelodi Sundowns, having played 3 games, they have won all 3 of them.
They will fly with it again. They will fly with it. Yes, we'll come.
With the upcoming fixtures, do you see them possibly getting...
So we sit here prior to Christmas, we sit here after Christmas, we sit here on Good Friday next year, April, we'll be still talking about this result. I think
quite sad seeing, the first side of the table, like from number 1 to number 8, and you don't see a Kaizer Chiefs logo.
It's early, like I highlighted, so you would want them to maybe after 6 games to start saying there's a concern. But knowing that maybe there's a lot of competitions at this point to be part of, so you would say, let's not judge them after 2 games. Let's give them 6 games.
It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
Yeah. But for me,
but you can build momentum from how you start.
Yeah, you can build momentum. That's what I'm saying this season. In as much as Sundowns might really once again win the league, but the gap won't be that huge like we saw last season. So there could be a difference of 5 to 6 points, unlike 15 to 10 points last season.
You no longer see Orlando Pirates rivaling Mamelodi Sundowns.
They will give them a hard time, but they won't catch up with them. They are really looking good this season. They need just to convert their chances.
See, this is where your logic fails me, Fabrice, because with Sundowns, you neglect it's the beginning of the season. It's too early to judge things. But with Kaizer Chiefs, it's too early to judge things. It's the beginning of the season. They might come back.
Well, Kaizer Chiefs, I'm not talking about them winning the league. I'm talking about maybe them finishing within the top 3, top 4. I'm not saying winning the league.
Yeah, but
because where they are positioned in terms of the log, it's the second
13,
table,
13. Yeah.
So they'll pick up. They'll pick up and finish within your number.
But Sundowns won 4. Other teams will pick up.
No, Sundowns won 4.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
I suspect you hold the same sentiment for the English Premier League with Manchester City.
It's still the same, and I think they'll make signings before they before the window closes on the 1st of September.
Yeah, and they face Newcastle this weekend, which is going to be an interesting game. I think, is it you or Master who really loves Newcastle?
I think it must be one of us. It could be me, it could be him. But I think when you talk about loving Newcastle, I think there was a list of most followed and noisy supporters in England.
Yeah.
And I think first of all, there were Liverpool supporters, followed by Newcastle United, and then there were Leeds, then there were Arsenal. So when you talk about Newcastle United, you talk about one of the great stadiums that you would go to, and you look at the noise of the supporters at St. James Park. And I think I was listening to an interview, one of the best commentators, Peter Drury, saying sometimes you appreciate the moments we live in. During COVID, you would shout as a commentator and the stadium is empty. And you ask yourself, why am I shouting? No one is hearing. But when you go to stadiums like St. James Park, 56,000 for Newcastle United, and then the loudness of the supporters, it gears you up to say, I'm in it for anyone. For that fixture for them against Manchester City, it's a tricky one. I had wished City had started away, then the results were going to be very tricky for Manchester City.
Yeah.
But City being at home, you would give that 2-1. Yeah, you would give that 2-1 against Newcastle. So
yeah, but Fabrice, Newcastle just came back from ravaging Aston Villa 5-1. Obviously, Isak being the star of the show, scoring 2 goals on the 16th minute and the 58th minute. 5-1 against Aston Villa. That kind of momentum that you build starting a season, especially after a good run on the last phase of the past season, they're coming into this game quite confident.
They're a big class club now, because when you talk about English Premiership, there's the A-class teams, your Man City, your Arsenal, your Liverpool. Those are the teams you expect, no matter what, to be within the top 4. And then there is the big class, where you would class according to performance. You put in your Tottenham Hotspurs, you put in Newcastle United and everyone. So coming to that victory against Aston Villa, yes, they're motivated, but they're going to Etihad. That's what I'm saying. I had wished their game was at home. But for me, the game of the weekend, Spurs, Manchester United. Spurs on home soil, Manchester United, they look really, really, really shaky in their defense and in how they want to convert their midfield. So Spurs, in the absence of Harry Kane, yes, but I think the likes of Heung-min Son, they're doing a great job. So I'm giving to Spurs. I'm giving to Spurs. And it's a game that has always provided a lot of goals. It has sometimes been 5-3.
Is it because they're playing at home, or is it because they just have a competitive edge?
Competitive edge and home advantage. They should use that. I'm giving to Spurs.
It's funny because pundits are giving Manchester United a 40% winning probability and they're giving Tottenham 34%. But I like your analysis because you're backing it up. So we'll see what's going to happen there. And Manchester United, just from their last game, quite an important header there. That goal was very important.
Wolves
but just how they're playing, I'm not too sure I should be this confident about them.
Okay, here's what I've always realized, that when you buy players, it's always
work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, but it works in your advantage if you buy players prior to the pre-season tournament. Give you an example.
Can have time to
Kovacic came into City, he's still adapting. You can see there is a lot he's learned. You look at players like Declan Rice. Declan Rice came in early. You look at Liverpool, also what they did with some of the players. So Manchester United, yes, Onana came in. I appreciated the effort that he did in that game against Wolves. They will catch up with time. But they're still, trying to get it, trying to link and see how things work for them. Nyambona Mason Mount is trying something.
Yeah.
It's not his game style. He's still adapting to the system. Players like Rice, when they came to Arsenal, you would understand that they quickly adapted in the system. So
I understand your logic, I think you're quite right there. But briefly, let's speak about Chelsea versus West Ham. What do you predict there?
It's it's a South London derby. Both teams are from south area of London. So Chelsea playing against West Ham. It's another game that has always provided surprises. So I will give it to Chelsea. They look quite strong, confident.
Even with their formation that shocked many fans.
Yeah, for the very first time, we have a team in England that can display 4 teams that can all play in the Premiership. Chelsea has got, when they come to the game, they provide 18 players. But if they were allowed, they could provide actually, I think, 54 players capable of playing the game, which means 18 to make it 3 teams that can fit in the Premier League. I think the record says, from May up to today, when the season ended, up to today, when the window was open, each week, Chelsea, they buy a player. Every week, Chelsea, they buy a player. For the past 12 weeks, each week, Chelsea, they buy a player. So they have bought 12 players since the open of the window.
And finally, it's looking like it's going to work this season.
People don't understand the logic. There is this whole transfer financial fee. It might work against them. So if it work against them when they have already bought players, and the ban sometimes goes to 4 to 5 years. So this youthful squad, he's buying the owner. He says, you know what, they are 21, 20, 19, so they will last me for those 3 to 4 years if the FIFA financial ban must stand against them.
Then tomorrow we have Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Easy win for Liverpool. We don't have to discuss that one. Wolves versus Brighton.
It's a Premiership. Let's not say it's easy.
Easy win for Liverpool.
It looks like it's going to be going to their way, but
I'll put my money where my mouth is. Easy win for Liverpool versus obviously Bournemouth. But Wolves versus Brighton. A lot of people are leaning towards Brighton.
Yeah, you would say in terms of converting their goals. I mean, Brighton is one of the teams who have done their business very well. And I think for the past more than, should I say 12 months? Or 2 years, they've, in terms of benefits, in terms of what their income, more than 200 million in terms of the players they've brought in. Saido, Cucurella, McAllister went for Liverpool. Trossard who left for Arsenal. You look at how much money these guys have made in selling players. Oof, it's a lot. But I'll give them. They still are building a team.
It's a business.
So,
Fabrice, La Liga, just quickly. La Liga, we need to wrap up now. We don't have much time. When we look at our fixtures for this coming weekend, I think Real Madrid. It's quite an easy one for Madrid.
Yeah, UD Almeria. Yeah, they're away. It's gonna be a win for them.
FC Barcelona, easy one for them as well.
Home side against Crises. So I would. The funny thing about this league, the competition is amongst 3 teams, 2 to 3 teams.
Yeah.
There are enough surprises are always there just after Christmas.
FC Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and Real Madrid, right?
Yeah, Real Madrid. So. Real Betis.
Real Betis.
Yes,
No, I mean the top 3 teams that you mentioned.
Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico, yes.
Yeah.
So the surprises, they start coming late December, January, February. And that is caused because these 3 teams are always focused in the European competition. So the energy is really focused in European competitions. So you'll have those surprises where Real Betis or Getafe or Mallorca, they'll come and surprise them. But for me, nothing will change. I think these 3 teams will just top the league once again. To decide who might win the league, let's come and discuss it maybe at some point in January. Yeah.
Thank you, Fabrice, for your time this morning. Fabrice Simpson giving us his insights on the upcoming games that we will see this weekend across all these football leagues that we have just discussed. It is a beautiful Friday morning. We hope that you will go out and be responsible. Kule Mpela Sonfo Lena, from myself, Fabrice Simpson, the rest of the KBS crew. Sale kahle.
Siyabonga umsakathi kuthwala lithuba. Cha, sivise eMaswati siphumile ngetinkani. Kulo mnyaka we-2023 sibabonile inombolo yenyuka impela sibili yenyukile before kuvalwe. Bantu ke bafundisekile umsakathi ukuthi abaphume bayoncoma bavote ngoba uhulumende ngewabo. Intuthuko ibuya kubo. Yonke intuthuko lenteke emangweni. Ayisuqhamuka mhlambe kulenye izawa iqhamuke ngetifiso tethu ukuthi besifise kube nanaku umsakathi kuloko.
Engabe mnguni kulesikhathi lesi ungakhuthatha uthini kuso sive seMaswati uyukhanze ukuthi siyabhalisa ngelizinga lesetulu nakufanele siyawuvota sive sisalele emuva mnguni.
Sive kusalela kwasomva ukuthi ingoni letinengi kungaba mhlawumbe kukhinyabeteka kwebantu ukuthi lona ukhubatekile ngandlela thite akakhona ukuhamba la kunyukela khona imibukelo umfula noma nje kube njani ngiko lesithi nako lokho kule ntuthuko lesithi asibavotela kona mhlambe bambe bakufake ukuthi umlokhu batekile usicela naye cabangele kasisho ukuthi abacabangele kodwa nje lizinga liphakaphakama kubonakala ukuthi nabo bangeMaswati bayingcenye yethu eParliament nakhona besinxusa lokuthi mhlawumbe nasetinkundleni ukuthi labo labakhubatekile bamane babe khona imivo yabo itovakaleka kakhulu kulabo mhlawumbe labanye labakhubatekile emangweni kunemisumbe kunabo labo nje tibonza temango ngibo lekufanele ukuthi phecelezi ba-identify bantu benzawo ngoba umuntu nje lofika kwencewe yadengcela ngiyabekisa uteleti injongo takhe lapha kubetelwa bekunene kutoholwa kutelwe kutodevelopa ummango ngicabanga ukuthi lokho abakwekhute labafanele ikakhulu lababuka imimango naleyo misumbe konke nje netinfundo.
Siyabonga mngoni.
Siyabonga kakhulu.